What's up, bitchachos and emos? I'm back with a new video, and yes, I'm in a different filming spot than I usually am. I felt like it was a little bit more professional to sit in a chair. So I genuinely didn't think I was gonna be able to scrap together a list for this video. If I'm being quite honest, the music industry fell short in 2018. Not like 2018 was a good year in general, it was honestly all just pretty shit. But I feel like the music industry let me down a lot, and that's saying a lot for me because I listen to a good variety of artists and a lot of different genres, so I just feel like releases of this year just fell short. They just weren't good. They just weren't good. But I managed to pull together a list, so we're gonna dive into it right now. We're gonna start with my honorable mention, which is A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships by the 1975. I did not feel like the album cohesively was some of their best work and didn't really top a lot of albums that I enjoyed this year. That being said, there are a couple songs on this album that I genuinely love so much, such as Sincerity is Scary, Love If We Made It, and I Couldn't Be More in Love. I Couldn't Be More in Love is actually one of my top 3 favorite 1975 songs of all time, of all of their discography at this moment, because I genuinely sobbed my eyes out for hours listening to that song on repeat. I couldn't believe how beautiful that song was. Phenomenal, beautiful song, beautiful album, and I'm really glad that Matty is in a very clear headspace now and that he got help for himself and is just able to give his all into his artwork. So we're gonna jump on into the list now with Bambi by Hippocampus. And I'm gonna be quite honest, I really was thinking that I was gonna be let down with this album. I really didn't think that they were gonna be able to release something that was even equivalent to Landmark. I just didn't really believe in them. I thought that Landmark was gonna be a fluke and that they weren't gonna be able to put out another beautiful album, but I was proven wrong, and I'm so glad that I was, because I love Hippocampus and I think that they are great artists. My favorite track off this album is Doubt. I feel like it is just such a different sound than a lot of indie alternative music that has been released. I just feel like as a whole it is such an interesting song and such an interesting album. I just really appreciated it. My number 9 on this list is Welcome to the Neighborhood by Boston Manor. I found myself loving this album. Thought it was beautiful top to bottom, but I honestly didn't really listen to it as much as I wanted to. I thought it was great, and there wasn't even really a reason I didn't find myself listening to it a lot. I just didn't. I feel like as a whole, the album was really good, and there wasn't really any songs that stuck out to me as better than the other. I feel like they were all pretty equal in how good they were, and I'm really excited to hear a lot of these tracks for the first time live. If I do get to see them live sometime soon, I hope so, because they are very great performers. I love them, and I would love Henry to just deck me in the face and break my nose, if I'm being quite honest. Jumping into my number 8. My number 8 album is Swimming by Mac Miller. And the reason that this album is so low on my list is not because I feel like the album deserves to be this low on the list. After Mac passed, it became increasingly hard to actually enjoy the album and a lot of his music because it really did affect my listening ability to the album Swimming. I think that it was one of the best releases of this year. My favorite song on Swimming, even though it is the single, is Self-Care. I feel like it has an amazing message and it makes me feel really motivated to better myself and become the better me that Mac would have wanted to do for himself, or would have wanted to make himself be, you know what I mean, I hope. I didn't sound coherent at all. Next on my list is my number 7, my boys, The Story So Far, Proper Dose, which I actually got this hoodie from the tour I went to and saw them on the Proper Dose tour. Proper Dose honestly blew me away with how well it was done. Like, it was just beautifully put together, and there isn't a single track on the album that I don't like, which makes it very hard to pick out favorites from it. But I would probably have to say Keep This Up, Out of It, Take Me As You Please, Upside Down are some of my favorite songs, which is like half the album, and the whole album as a whole is just really good. I think everybody would enjoy a little bit of it, even if you're not a Story So Far fan. Overdose was just really phenomenal, and I was just honestly astonished by how well they put together a positive album. Coming in at number 6 is Love and Loathing by With Confidence, which was a great album. There are so many songs on this album that were really good. The only reason it is so low on my list is because for a long time I didn't really like the album, to be honest. I thought it wasn't that good, and I think that was just because I just found myself comparing it so much to Better Weather and their EPs. I just felt like it wasn't their best work, and that they had a lot better music that was put out, and I just didn't give it the credit that it deserved for a really long time. Songs like Jaded are some of the most upbeat, intense feelings that you can feel. It just gives you that feeling that you want to scream and run around because you just have so much emotion building up in you, and I really, really, really enjoy this album, and I would highly recommend it. Alright, we are splitting the list. We are at my top 5 now, which this one is probably gonna shock a lot of people. I am going to put Trench at my number 5 by 21 Pilots. Layla, how could you possibly put Trench at number 5? Like, what albums could possibly be better than an album release from your absolute favorite band and an album that you genuinely love top to bottom? I really, really, genuinely did not think that I was going to be able to put it so low on my list. And it's not even low, it's the tiebreaker of the list. Like I said, I really was disappointed with a lot of music that was put out this year. And not saying that I was disappointed at all with Trench, because that would be just me completely lying to you, because I was blown away with how beautiful Trench was. It didn't top my list. It really didn't, and I don't know why. And honestly, would you really be watching this video if I put this in my number 1? Like, how predictable would it be if I put my favorite band's release as my number 1? Like, that's so predictable. Now you're excited to keep watching. You're like, what's her top favorite album of 2018? Like, how could it possibly be better than Trench? Well, guess you're gonna have to keep watching. Trench was honestly just so fucking good. Songs like Morph are just incredible and just broke my expectations for the type of music that 21 Pilots is capable of releasing. They are just such musical geniuses. They are musical geniuses. They have put together such a beautiful album over and over and over again. They never let me down. Going down to my number 4 on my list is The American Dream by Trophy Eyes. I remember listening to The American Dream full blasted in my car pretty much the entire summer. I loved this album, and I really, really was blown away with the sound change. Like, I think it's very hard to come out with an even better album when your very first release is marketed so well and is loved by your entire fan base so much, that when you release another album, especially your second album, I feel like second albums usually aren't the best. I feel like it's usually like either the first or the third album that are like people's best albums, that it was even better than Chemical Miracle. I feel like a lot of started to Trophy Eyes album specifically. I feel like they grew a lot as a group and as an artist with this album because of how well it was done. Favorite songs from this album was You Can Count on Me, Calling, Autumn, and Friday Forever. Honestly, like, Friday Forever isn't one of the best songs off the album, but I feel like the way I just love the way it feels. It made me really, really happy in the summer just to kind of like listen to it because it was just so upbeat. It was like really cool to get from Trophy Eyes. Okay, on my list, Malibu Nights by Lanny. I don't really know a lot of people personally that listen to Lanny. I don't know if they're small or big, if I'm being quite honest, because I've never even seen them. I really know how popular they are as an artist, but I have been listening to them since their EPs came out, and I remember loving all of their EPs. I thought that all of their songs on their EPs were just so good, and their self-titled album I was honestly a little bit let down with. I love a lot of the songs on the self-titled album, but I just didn't really like them as much as the EPs and kind of fell out with Lanny for a while. I just didn't find myself listening to them a lot. Paul just kind of focused a lot on a lot of happy feelings that he was feeling, and when the album came out, I didn't find myself listening to it a lot because I was in a very, very dark place in my life. I was very depressed and I was grieving over a very bad relationship that I had that took a very big toll on me and was detrimental to my health, and I lost Malibu Nights thoroughly changed that for me because it is a sad album. We love sad music in this household. Malibu Nights, fucking amazing. Honest to God, I put a good few of these songs off of this album on every single playlist I have. I have added them to almost every single one of my playlists. I love this album top to bottom. It is just so fucking good. And even though it's sad and kind of like nostalgic in remembering a love that you miss, it's not like depressing sad. It doesn't make you feel like shit and want to cry all the fucking time. It's like a good nostalgic melancholy feeling. It's just like, yeah, fuck, like I thought you'd be here. Damn, bitch, like, how are you gonna just walk out the door like this? Songs off of the album is Thick and Thin, Through These Tears, If You See Her, Love You Anymore. Oh my God, those songs. Applaud, applaud! It's such a good album. Like, I don't even fucking care if you haven't heard of Lanny or you don't really want to listen to their old music. If you listen to Malibu Nights at least, or at least the songs that I listed, I would be happy. They're just so good. I'm pretty sure there's only one person in the band and he calls himself Lanny. His name's like Paul Klein or something like that. I don't know if there's two people or if it's just Paul. I don't really know much about Lanny as an artist, but I love the music. That's all I gotta say. I love this album specifically. Right, my number 2 on this list. I can't believe I honestly put this ahead of Trench, but like up there. It's like, it's so well done and their sound has matured so much, and just all of the cool musical elements that they brought in for this album was just so cool to listen to. But this album at my number 2 is Youngblood by 5 Seconds of Summer, or 5 Sauce, whichever you prefer calling them. I genuinely didn't think it was gonna be this good. The album is pretty much a breakup album, and it covers every feeling that you feel while grieving a relationship that you didn't want to end. Like, this album is just everything I wanted and more, because they not only changed their sound and gave me something so good and so different than their old music, but it was done so well, and they've matured so much in their sound. It's so easy to listen to, and a lot of people that I know that don't really even know who 5 Seconds of Summer is, or don't really give a shit about them, have found themselves liking songs from this album just because it's so good and it's just so well done. Anyways, moving on. Wait, no, I gotta tell my favorite songs from this album. Favorite songs off this album. Valentine, Talk Fast. More. Empty Wallets. Babylon. I'm just gonna stop myself there, even though I want to list more, because like I've already listed half the album. So, oh, actually, one of my favorite songs off this album, hands down, is one of the Target bonus track editions called When You Walk Away. Fuck! That song slaps so fucking hard. Okay, Moving on. My number one choice of the year is Iridescence by Brockhampton. Woo! Honest to God, the best release of the year. Like, when I was gonna make this video, I genuinely, when I was making the list, all I could think of was like Iridescence. I was like, there's no album that was even like close to even being as good as this. This was my favorite piece of work that has been released. Not only from Brockhampton, but one of my favorite releases of the year, obviously, is my number one. But like, it was my favorite album. It topped every single album that Brockhampton has put out. They have 5 fucking albums, bro. This topped all of them. As a whole, it's just so fucking good. Favorite tracks off this album: New Orleans, District, Berlin, Tanya, Jouvert, Fabric, like the whole fucking album, bro. The whole fucking album. So good. So mind blown. I didn't think that they were going to be able to bounce back from Amir leaving. I didn't think that they were going to release something so incredibly musically genius. It's so good. It's so good. It's better than anything they've put out. And I'm just so fucking hyped to get more music from them, because I was not let down, and I didn't think that I was gonna be let down, but this surpassed me even thinking that their previous albums were their best. Like, it's just amazing how much they just blew me the fuck away. It was iconic.